Everybody. Thank you. It's 1 o'clock on Wednesday, June 9th. We're into June already. Summer's almost over. Sorry, Naval. Okay, we have an agenda, and I see that a question has been added to the agenda, and I apologize for the lateness of getting the agenda posted. So please, if you didn't get a chance to put your question in, make sure that you ask us as we progress. So a couple of things on the agenda to update you on. The first is to let you know that Academic Affairs has begun reviewing the use of classrooms and office spaces, looking for efficiencies in particular, and also looking for ways to do technology upgrades. So you may see them walking around, don't get suspicious. They're looking at spaces, trying to make sure that we are using our spaces as efficiently as possible. And if you do see folks, or you have some really great ideas about how to optimize our spaces, classrooms and offices, please connect with your Academic Affairs program person, administrator, to share your good thinking. Lots of talk about those June 1st, July 6th, and August 3rd dates. Still under discussion. If you belong to HGEA or UPA, you know that the unions have put forward a series of questions to the administration, asking for clarity on what exactly those dates entail. I understand that the Office of General Counsel, as well as a team of individuals from JABSOM and other places, are reviewing the guidelines that were established by the university for safe return to campus. And they are reviewing those guidelines, and I understand that those are imminent. So sometime, I'm hoping, and I don't know for a fact, but I'm hoping that in this next week, they will be able to provide us with guidelines that will answer the questions that you have, that we all have, that the unions have asked about what does it actually mean for July 6th? What is it that we're supposed to do? What is it that does it mean to be open to the public and providing services? So the question that was asked in the agenda, which is, what is the plan for communicating what employees are returning to campus in July, as contrasted with those that are returning to campus in August? Right now, until we have some kind of more definite understanding of what July 6th means, and even what August 3rd is going to entail, because it's not clear from the union perspective that they are very supportive of the way it was framed in that transmission a couple of weeks ago. So I can't give you an honest answer about what is the communication plan, because we still at this point don't know what exactly we're going to be communicating and who should be impacted by that. Let me just stop on that for a section. For a second, not a section. Let me stop and see what questions you have right now about reopening plans.
Maria,
Yes,
I'm sorry, Louise. Does that include, like, what are the best practices regarding the use of plexiglass or not? I guess thinking about the STEM center and like what would be needed for students to feel safe and all that. Is that reopening plan going to include all that?
Thank you for asking that question. Brian has been asking all of us to dust off the plans that we made to come back to campus in fall 2020. If you recall, after we shut down in the pandemic, we had plans to reopen the campus in the fall until the first day of class, when everything went up to 300 cases and we had to shut down again. So all of us should have plans for safe return to campus, for your offices, for your classrooms. So right now, that's what we need to re-examine. The conditions haven't changed yet. We're still, mask. Well, the one thing that's changed is the need for masks outdoors. But indoors, we're still being asked to wear our masks. We're still being asked for 6-foot distance. That has not changed. So the plans that we had for fall 2020 need to be examined again. Take them out, take a look. All of us were asked for our shared spaces to have a plan. So take a look at it, make sure that it still is feasible and up to date. We have no solid, definitive information that says anything other than masks indoors, clean your space, be socially distant. I can't say, and I don't know what's going to happen between now and August. I'm hopeful that these new guidelines will allow us to change our social distance, because it's my contention that there's no way that we can bring back everybody August 3rd, as was implicated, and keep social distance, because our spaces are not designed for that. So things got to be in sync. If they want, if we are going to be asked to have everybody back on campus, we cannot do it with 6-foot distance. So I wish I could tell you more, Amy, but I'm hoping that all of us look at the plans that we made for our shared spaces and see that they are still doable for fall, if that's the way it works out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions?
Louise,
Yes.
I have a real quick one.
All right.
Can you kind of explain? So usually what I see is what the governor says.
Yes.
So can you kind of go through really quickly, like what he says, how does the universe, from what he says, then it goes to the president, and then at what point in time does what we're really going to do reach us?
Okay, that's a quick question, not necessarily a quick answer, but there's also city and county that's in there as well, right? So it's not always the case that the governor's proclamations have been aligned, or let me go the other way around. It has not always been the case that the city and county procedures and proclamations have aligned with the governor. They've been off slightly, right? Kauai did some things differently. Maui did some things differently. So who's the boss of what? And how do those things change? So when the governor makes a proclamation and the city and county wants to do something different, they have to ask the governor's permission. I suspect that that's how it works with the university as well. If the university is going to do something other than what the governor has proclaimed, then we would need to be in conversation with the governor. I know that when this was all happening, evolving very quickly, I know that President Lassner was in communication, direct communication with the governor about what to do at the university, because the university was called an essential business back when we were in lockdown, right? So we still could continue some things. So I think the conversations happen directly between the governor and the president. We on the campuses wait for the university. The president's office usually is the one that sends out the message as to what we are going to do.
Okay.
And Dave, you have a question about parking passes. We got our parking passes last year in lockdown, and it was pretty good. I think it worked okay. We had to show a picture up to the camera of, not a picture, but show our insurance card, and everything was fine. So if we need to do that, then we can still do that, I would suspect, but I do not know for a fact. That hasn't been discussed at this point. And Sheldon has a question. Go, Sheldon.
So it happened in these past couple of days. So no campus tours in the fall. Is that safe to say? People have been asking.
I don't know, Sheldon. I think we've talked about it. No, Al, do you remember what our conversation was and where we ended up?
I think we just talked about the hypothetical things that could happen and might not, but a lot of it depends on things being final, which we're not there yet. So I think to answer your question, Sheldon, currently, as of 110 today, based on the details we have, we can expect that and probably do a lot of the online formatting. But if things change and whatnot, we'll probably stay flexible. Because I think what we'd like to offer, if there are more things to showcase on the campus, then yes, I think we should proceed. But if it's currently looking like what we have right now, then is there a need? Not so much. But to put it shortly, ongoing. But right now, doesn't seem that way. But it could change next week. I don't know, as everything has been changing.
Right. So I guess that's a safe answer, Sheldon, to say at this point, you know, given the activity levels on the campus, given our current situation, that it might not be worthwhile to bring people to campus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Sean Nathan might be able to help us a little bit more with the question about parking passes. Go, Sean.
Hi. Okay. So nothing is totally set in stone yet, but as of this moment, I'm collaborating with Jacob. We're trying to figure out if there's a different platform that we would like to try and migrate to over the summer. If the timeline doesn't line up, then we'd be shooting for that for next year, and then probably we'll replicate what we did last summer again this time, with mailing stuff out through the campus mail and having something like a Google form or possibly a Koali build form where people can submit the request via that method. What we're also currently assessing, kind of a smaller one, but plays out bigger at the tail end, is the whole part where we did that Zoom meeting where we hold up the IDs and the insurance cards. We're double checking whether or not we actually still need to do that, or if we can just put a little self-certification bit within the initial request form for individuals to say, yep, I'm confirming by clicking this box that my insurance and my driver's license are both current and I'm good to go. And that way we can skip the Zoom part. So we'll get an update out to everybody soon-ish, but yeah, we are working on it. Probably though, as much as I want to shoot for a brand new fancy platform, probably we are going to look at something that's very, very, very similar to what we did last year.
Thanks, but don't go too far, Sean, because Dave Stevens has a question. Go, Dave.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. Last time we talked about parking passes in Ernst, I thought that the entire system was going to the paid parking pass where there was fines and everybody had to have a pass to park on that campus. And like, UH Manoa. Did we ever decide that we were actually going that way? And if we are, is it going to be like UH Manoa where you get a parking pass to a certain part of the campus parking? Like on Manoa, you get, upper campus, lower campus, stuff like that. But are we going to do, lot A, lot B, lot D, or like HCC does where you get a sampling, you get, like lot 13, lot A, and lot D. And those are your lots that you can park in. Did we ever even think about that?
Is that for me or for the Chancellor?
Whoever can answer.
Actually, I was just thinking about that the other day too, Dave. We have not prepared for paid parking yet. There would need to be a lot more education and a lot more advanced warning about paid parking. What we have talked about and what I remember will be implemented in the fall is parking fines, not parking fees just yet, although we were supposed to have done parking fees some time ago, but not to my knowledge for fall. But
So,
yes, for fines.
Okay.
yeah, so just to continue from there then, with regard to my efforts and Jacob's, we're not looking at going into a full-blown project with this for this coming year. we are looking at getting a set of permits that will also be available to be issued to students, to kind of use this year as a get us going in that direction. But that's about the extent of it. It's just kind of like getting the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of information before anything gets implemented. Jacob, I see you're on the call. You want to say anything else?
Yeah, LP and Sean, thanks. Yeah, so for violations, we did move over to that new schedule, the one that we were talking about since 2017. But even with that, we're only citing if you really parked really crazy, you know, the fire lanes, if you're blocking somebody, you know, if you're in a reserve stall with, you know, clear signage. But yeah, the officers haven't been hammering down on the violations. We've been giving, you know, kind of people chances. You know, if you're new to campus, you know, we kind of like give you a warning. They have been focusing on like the rental cars, on cars that are here and parked in our staff stalls and take up a staff stall. So we've been kind of trying to hammer down on that. But as far as everything else, like fees, like Sean said, I don't think we're going to go over to a parking fee just yet, because we have to get everybody permitted first in order to enforce the rules.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacob. And I have seen the officers going up to cars where people are sitting in their cars for quite a long time in our parking lot saying, you know, do you have business here? So they are checking on the folks that shouldn't be on the campus. So thank you for that. There's another question that got added that says, any idea of the percentage of courses that went online to remain online exclusively for the foreseeable future? That I don't have the answer to. All I can tell you is that for fall 2021, there are more wholly online classes being offered than there were this academic year. So it has not diminished in the fall. What happens in the spring when we were planning to be more face-to-face, I cannot say. That's in the hands of the department chairs and the faculty who teach the courses. They will be the ones to determine how much of what was face-to-face comes back face-to-face. And again, we're always operating in this context. So if it is the case that all the constraints are lifted and we no longer have to worry about sanitizing classrooms and having plexiglass and wearing masks and shields and having Clorox wipes everywhere, there's probably going to be more face-to-face, but I don't have a sense. If any of the department chairs are on the call and have been talking to their faculty, please feel free to jump in and let me know what you guys are thinking in your department.
Hey, Louise, I added that question, and honestly, it was just a overall thought of, have we learned from this pandemic? Are there really efficiencies that we can capture for certain courses? And that's a good thing. Like, if it's working, then why not keep working? I know I've been critical of use of online instruction, but mainly in the, you know, the nursing programs and the other health programs, because we really do need to work well with them. But perhaps other departments are shifting on, you know, with proven effectiveness. So that just helps us all understand the utilization of space and what may or may not be available as we all move forward in this canoe together. So that was really the background. And I'm just curious to know how many are coming back, or are we going to see some people again?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really important conversation to have come, let's say, September, as departments start planning the spring semester. It'll be good to have that conversation at you guys' AAC meetings about, you know, what are you thinking in your departments? How is that going to impact, especially programs that have prerequisites and spaces? Do we
Louise,
yes, Laurie, go.
I'll just say a few words for the business, legal, and technology education program. I mean, we do have faculty who excel and students appreciate the online. However, we do have students and faculty who are talking about, coming back
Mhm.
in the classroom in the spring. And as we cater to other markets, including international markets, we're sort of cognizant of some of how those federal guidelines will drive, how we deliver education.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm always thinking about, there are students who really want to be in face-to-face classes, and there are faculty who really want to teach in face-to-face classes. And I just hope they're in the same discipline. Otherwise, it's going to be a real disconnect. Sunny asked a question. Yes. Do we know how many? Yes, we do. And if you keep talking amongst yourselves, or if I can keep doing this and do two things at the same time, I can show you the graphic that we use for the Board of Regents meeting that shows the last 5 years. I'll try to find it as we're talking. And look, Hal's asked Kara a question. You've heard the opposite. What, Hal? Opposite of what?
That students prefer face-to-face or hybrid to fully online.
That's not what our survey said.
Our survey says, sorry, I'll chime in, and don't have camera on this device, so I apologize. So in the chat, the Board of Regents materials are all there, and page 36, which was slide 13 for us, that has the SSH for online, on campus, and early college.
I'll get to
take a look at that. And then I think there's also the slide where we have the percentage of DE classes versus face-to-face. And then back to Hal. So we did do a survey in spring. We had a little over 500 students fill it out. So the catch there is that it was more full-time than part-time, but out of those, they could choose multiple options of their preferred modalities, but we had 60% of the survey takers say they preferred online asynchronous. So some of that is that they might have spotty internet, kids in the background. It's much easier for them to be working asynchronously than have to get that camera on to follow along in a class. It also seems to work well with their class schedules. So what I would like to do is kind of follow the data and see if that matches how our students are enrolling, and then go back with our student congress and ask that question again to see how it changes as the pandemic shifts too. Thanks.
Okay, I'm tracking down that graphic. I'll get it for you in a sec. Soon.
Louise, Karis put a link to the BOR presentation, maybe?
Yeah, but I can actually, I got it, so I'll show you.
Okay, thank you.
I can share my screen. Okay, so this is the slide that shows the last 5 years, the percentage or the proportion of online versus in-person versus hybrid. Clearly flip-flopped.
Okay, this is great. Thank you. I don't see that image in the PDF that was in the chat. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm scrolling madly.
Yeah, that's a 300-page document you've got.
Okay. All right, so it's in that thing. Oh,
it is in that thing.
Okay,
I promise.
I found it. I found it. It's page 17. Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Did anything else? Yeah, I mean, there's Candy's point about we need to follow up. There's always more that we can do. Data should never close the books. It should only open more questions because you want to know better, more. So yeah, I think there are some ways that we can track also. If you look, there are in fact a few places where there are face-to-face classes as well as online classes in the same discipline, and you can see what the differential is in enrollment patterns. I believe that there's at least Fish 185, I think, has on ground and online classes, I think. And you can see, I think that's true. Yeah, and thanks, Laurie. Yeah, so you could see the enrollments there. So again, there are reasons why people today might choose an online class where before they would not have. And some of it was they never thought they'd like it, and maybe now they tried it and they do, or they're really still very worried. They don't want to come to campus. So there are a lot more complicating factors now than there were a year and a half ago, I think. Other thoughts, other questions? There's nothing else in the chat, not in the chat, but in the agenda that got added. Look at that. See, just as I say, there's nothing else, there is something else. Are there going to be additional training sessions for contract renewal and tenure and promotion? Yes, I believe that this summer there will be additional trainings. I am not aware of the times. Allison, are you on? If Allison is on here, she knows all of this. Allison.
Yes, I'm on. Having one training session in June and another one in July, but we don't know the exact dates as yet. When OHR sends us the link will be going out to everyone.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a question, try put it in the chat. That way for sure we'll see it. Unless you want to be anonymous, then you can put it in the agenda. Anything come to mind? Any questions or concerns that we haven't addressed? Lisa Aganon, come on. Usually you have more.
That was my question I added to the agenda. I was trying to be anonymous, so.
But you actually owned up to it. You said that's my question. I would never have known. Budget updates, Dave Stevens. No budget updates. We are going through all of our budgets are due to Cheryl and Brian the 18th. Is that right? Is Cheryl on? I think it's the 18th, yeah?
That's correct.
Okay, so we need everybody, I'm sorry, Cheryl, if you're talking, it's all. Could you answer, Cheryl? Wow. No, not working. It's kind of like the chipmunks. No. Let me answer for Cheryl. Alien communication, sorry. Yeah, we are, all of the account managers are finalizing their budget requests, their and 5-year projections for their G Fund and TFSF. We have no further information from the university. The last you all heard was the major cuts to Manoa. We're still trying to deal with that. Thank you, Cheryl, for putting it in June 18th. I was right. Good. But we don't have final from the governor. Yes?
Louise, I think what I was getting at is, from a fiscal perspective, I was hoping that the funds that we got from the federal government for the second round or third round or whatever from the Biden administration helped us get in a firmer financial footing and maybe dug us out of the hole we were in. Is that true, or are we still there?
We're still there when you look at the funding that is our source for operations, right? So we operate with G funds from the state, as well as the tuition revenue that we get from students. The money that's come from the federal government is constrained. It can only be used for the things that the federal government says it can be used for. It cannot just supplement or wipe out salaries or whatever other stuff might be like electricity, unless we're using more electricity for COVID. So the federal money has to have a nexus with COVID. And so it's not just free money that we can just put back into the system.
So we're still trying to reorg to save money in the future. Yes, those are still our efforts.
We are still trying to be efficient. Yes, correct. Because the state revenue for the next projected, 4 to 5 to 7 years, depending on who you talk to, because of the hit that the economy took on tourism, the usual revenue streams are not there. The state got money from the federal government, but again, it's the same thing. That federal money has constraints. It cannot just be repurposed for whatever the state wants to use it for.
So along those lines, did you, Luis, by any chance get a sneak peek to where we might be headed in reorganization across UHCC or UH in general?
No. The most drastic of the reorgs happened within Manoa. The UHCCs are still talking through the academic programs, looking at probably looking first at alignment across the 7 campuses where programs are shared or at least similar. There has been, besides the conversations about centralizing some of the back office functions of financial aid and admissions, there is no further conversation that I'm aware of that has anything to do with structural changes within or across the 7 campuses. But there is strategic planning that's going to be launched at the UHCC level. So there may be opportunities to have those kind of broader conversations about structure, but so far none that I'm aware of. Okay, then the last thing that was on the agenda is Title III proposals. So Title III is federal monies that come to organizations of higher education through the US Department of Education. Title III is specifically for minority serving or Alaska Native Hawaiian serving institutions. And we qualify for that funding based on the proportion of Native Hawaiian students we have on the campus. To be eligible, you need to have minimally 10% of your student population to be Native Hawaiian to be eligible to apply for the funding. And used to be that we just squeaked through. When I first was involved in Title III, we were just at that threshold of 10%. And most recently, we've been closer to 18, 19%. So we are comfortably eligible for Title III funding. There are 2 different competitions, usually a Part A and a Part F, and I'm not going to get into the details about how different they are because I don't know well enough to be able to describe them. Somebody else might, but there are cyclical offerings of these grants. So last year, we did apply for funding and were funded. And today on the campus, we have either individual or collaborative grants for Title III, totaling 8. Some of them will be ending September 30th because this is federal money and it's got October 1 to September 30 cycles. So we're going to be shutting down a few of them on September 30, but there's a new solicitation. And so we have submitted 2 grants. As a UHCC system, 17 proposals were submitted for Title III. Our campus submitted 2. One is an individual grant and one is a collaborative grant. The individual grant is to propose a professional development framework and undergraduate research framework and peer coaching framework built on what is called the Ka'au model, which is a way of looking at student experience, which is slightly different from the student success pathway that we're familiar with, the 7 bubbles or 6 bubbles. The Ka'al framework talks about 4 stages in the student progression. The first is called Hua, which is to examine the purpose. Why is the student engaged in this activity? Alele is the next stage, which is making sure that the student has everything she or he needs for that journey, so the preparation. And then the next is Huaka'i, which is the actual challenges and overcoming the challenges and moving ahead in the journey. And the last stage is Hoi, which is the giving back. So at the end of your journey, how do you give back? So that framework is going to be driving this particular grant proposal that's gone forward, and Nava'a is the PI on that one. And the second one is a collaborative grant, where we are partnering as the lead campus with Leeward, looking at sharing the lessons that we've learned about shared services and implementing that second round of that on our campus and supporting Leeward in developing shared services. And I'm going to be the PI on that one. So we've submitted the grants, they're in the process, they will be reviewed, and we won't know till September whether or not we're funded for that. And both of those are 5-year grants. And there are other people working on other kinds of grants too. Brandon, is Brandon on? Usually Brandon is. Are you on, Brandon? Let me look. No, I can't believe it. Okay. No. A couple of people have put in grants for the governor's money, right? John and Ron.
Yes. So for the GEAR grant, we've submitted the Ignite program for continued funding through the GEAR, and we are on to the next stage with a panel presentation for consideration for approval.
Thank you. That's right. You had to put in a 1-pager or 2-pager and then come back for callback auditions. Stan, you wanted to say?
Yeah, I wanted to say that the second proposal for the GEAR grant was a proposal to create a apprenticeship office here at Kapiolani Community College. And so as a part of an innovation of the expansion of workforce and using the community college structures to provide that guidance, it's based off of the lessons that we learned over 4 years with the SEG grant, as well as other apprenticeship grants that we have been doing. We did get the call back for the presentation along with John. The PI on this one, yes, is Ron, but it looks like it would be me and probably Brandon if he's able to dial in when he's out of town to make that presentation.
Right. So did you guys get your appointment with the governor for the next level of scrutiny?
I have not. John, did you get one?
We have an informational session tonight at 5:30. Hopefully that'll tell us when that's going to be.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck on it.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that is it for the agenda. Anyone else have things to share?
I have a question when there's time.
Well, I think there's time because no one else comes in. Go, Nava'a.
So I'm just trying to pay attention to the chat, and what we were talking about was like, if we look across the entire 10 campus system, were the things that were implemented in terms of COVID consistent across all the campuses? And I'm only like, I almost want to see a scorecard just because we was talking about scorecards earlier. Just because, I mean, I think we all know that we all talk amongst faculty, talk to other faculty on other campuses, APTs, etc. Even we do. What I'm trying to make hope. I don't have an answer for that. Yikes. Scary.
Your watch is telling you.
Yeah. What I don't want to happen is that in the event we say KCC is not going to have any tours. And then Sheldon finds out that every other campus is having tours. You know, like how do we make sure that what we're saying on this campus is also happening at other campuses, just so there's none of this, oh, how come they get to do them, we don't get to do them? And I know campuses are different a little bit, but how do we kind of stay consistent across campuses?
I think that's, you know, at the levels where we have those cross-campus conversations, you know, so all the chancellors meet together every day, most days. VCAAs meet weekly, VCSAs meet weekly. So those are the times when we can make sure we're sharing what's going on. And there's lots of email that says, you know, this is happening on my, I mean, I do this all the time with the chancellors, you know, this is happening, or I have this question, how are you guys handling it? How are you guys doing this? So we do try to be aligned within the 7. Across the 10, a little bit more challenging, because we have not had a 10 campus chancellors meeting with President Lassner for quite some time. We had one scheduled like last week, and it got canceled. So that conversation has been lacking, that's for sure, but not across the 7 campuses.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I know you're very competitive, I'm very competitive, and we always want to win.
Yes.
So I want to make sure that if anybody's going to talk, it's all going to be the other campuses saying, hey, you know what KCC is doing? And we're going to be like, yeah, that's right, brah. I just want to make sure we're ahead of the game.
Yes, me too. Wednesday is also Search for Shaka Day, and I know that there were some bonus ones. Darsh and Maria, you want to update us on Search for Shaka?
Hello. So,
hi, Maria.
Hello, everybody. So for our Search for Shaka, just sharing our top 5 for the week. So Roman is
that Roman.
She is. And our very own Dustin Lee still being felt. He is top 2. Jamie Sickle takes the 3rd place. Allison Ohata and Guy Inaba shares the 4th and the 5th places. And overall, Jamie Sickle, our valedictorian, taking the lead.
Oh.
And with kind of close competition with Roman Sawachi.
Yes.
Yeah, so Sherry Emerson is also on the leaderboard for the overall race, and Dustin Lee and Allison Ohata on the 4th and 5th place.
Yes.
Yes. And then, yes.
Go ahead, Maria.
And just wanted to give a reminder for the month of June. We do have bonus shakas that are released on random days. So if you folks want to be on the leaderboard, please, you know, browse around our 75th anniversary website, and the first 3 people who can grab the bonus shakas will get 5 points each. And another reminder is that our Search for Shaka contest will end on July 7th on the 75th Zoom update Zoom update by the Chancellor. So yeah.
Yes. So Maria, I wanted to ask, how many bonus shakas are there? Do you guys ever tell us so that we stop looking when we found them all, or we just kind of keep looking?
So it's a secret, so you folks keep on searching. Keep looking.
All right. It's a
All right.
secret. Okay.
Yes, thank you, and keep on searching Shaka.
Thanks, Maria.
Hey, Louise.
Yo.
Just because Maria jumped on, but I just wanted to thank HR. I know they only have 3 people now, but Maria, she is like, she gives me headaches in all the best ways. Like she has Naval here in red is all the paperwork you missing. And so she takes care of arts and sciences and she's so helpful. So to HR and to you, Maria, thank you for all you guys help.
Our pleasure to be of help to you and to the entire campus.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Okay. How delightful it is to be here with you two, all of you. Okay, more, anything? Okay, looks like not. All right, be good to yourself, be good to each other. Please do the things that bring you joy.
Friday's a holiday.
Friday's a holiday. Take the day off.
I did not know that. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, do not do work on Friday. Enjoy the day. Then pick it up again on Saturday and Sunday the way you normally do. Friday, you can take it off. Enjoy it. It'll be a wonderful day. I give you the day off. Guaranteed. Take care of each other, you guys. I'll see you next week, Wednesday. Bye. Say bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.